Just walk away. Just walk away, and there will be an end to the horror.
And we're live. Welcome back, gentlemen, to MGTOW Chats episode number 48. Masculinity
Hello.
Is Our Future. A talk with Tim Patten. So tonight we are talking with Tim Patten. He's a MGTOW author. And we're going to ask him a little bit about the material he's written and some of his experiences. As always, with me is my host, Lamprey. Lamprey, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Good to hear from everybody. Happy Sunday.
And Tim, you're here too, correct?
I'm here from crazy liberal San Francisco.
And
Speaking to the world, teaching.
We're definitely going to talk about the shitty San Francisco streets
Woo!
at some point tonight. But before we get into everything, why don't you, Tim, give a bit of an introduction to our listeners. Tell a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with MGTOW, your relationship with MGTOW, and keep it as personal as you want it to be. It's up to you.
Okay, well, I don't know if people remember this, but about 12 years ago, there was a YouTuber named Barbarossa.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember him?
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking, I want to write something. And I always knew that marriage was a pain in the ass for all of the fathers and uncles and people that I knew in my life. You know, I would go and visit other kids, and the fathers were just beat over the head by their fat wife. And I just thought, wow, how can men suffer so much, be the sole breadwinner, and basically kill themselves at what is what in my family, labor jobs, working outdoors, pouring cement, carpentry. So Barbarossa had a video. So I was searching marriage sucks or whatever. And there was a video. God, I listened to it and it changed my world. Now, there was not the MGTOW acronym yet.
Right.
We didn't really have the term MGTOW.
There was no searches on, according to Google statistics, MGTOW didn't really make a blip in search engines, Google search engines, until 2009, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice, yeah. That makes sense because it was just individuals. And sometimes they would get together, like there was somebody named Stardust.
Yep.
And there's another one. Yeah, I mean, I think they're still around. They just aren't. Now we have people who are producing content every day. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, when I found these guys, I searched for this kind of content, and I would sit here and write. I was writing my first MGTOW book at that time. Well, we didn't know it was MGTOW at the time. My first book took me 3 years to write that first book, and listening to these videos, and then Sandman came on, and now, thank God, we have a lot of different MGTOW views. I just think that this is the best movement for men because we learn best from other men.
That's right.
And I just don't like women will try to teach us by scolding us like they're our mothers or something. Like our mothers, and we're... Shit, I'm in my 60s now. I don't need another mother. No, thank you.
Absolutely.
So that's how I got into it. One day I saw Tyler Durden in a movie say something like, "We are generations of young men who have been raised by women." That almost stopped my heart. I had to think about that. Like, is this true? Mm-hmm. And it is, like, the men are all off working, and when they're home, they just want to, relax. They don't really want to come to their children and teach their children, the ways of life and wisdom and so on. I think I got some of that from my grandfather, but not my father because he was so busy all the time. His time had to be dedicated making money.
Right. Well, because he has to support everybody. I mean, the system is set up now, and it has been for, better part of a century, to promote fatherlessness.
Yes.
And a lack of paternity, and it's very sad.
Well, I had I rent rooms out here. I'm living in a big flat, and I have extra rooms. And a young man here, he's graduated. He's about 29. He has had a girlfriend, and she came over one day, and she announced she was pregnant. And he just visited her, and I kind of freaked out. I said, "You mean you went to college to get this degree, and you have this potential to make $85,000 a year for a woman? That's good. But now you're going to be pregnant and become a housewife." Well, the kid is born, and she's just sitting around being a housewife. He's doing all the work. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Are you still? Okay, just wondering. So even though we're talking about, women need to get out and work, and I'd love for women to get to work. I would love to see women working on the power lines when the power goes out. I would love to see
a plumber.
Exactly. Go work on the when the waste system breaks down. Go and clean that waste. No men have to do all that. So I'm being silly, I know, but I want women to work.
Yeah, I'd love to see women take out collect garbage. Refuse collectors.
Exactly, but they won't do that. They won't do that.
No, they won't do it. They won't. There's a lot of subjects, a lot of labor jobs women will refuse to do, and it's partly because they don't have the endurance or strength to do it. And even women that do refuse because I think we're living in a climate where women kind of see themselves as the superior class.
No, you're right. They want to run the system, run the state. They want us to be working Congress. Women have been working in Congress for 40 years.
Right.
They can go into these jobs, but for some reason they don't get too far. So they want to run the world. They have this obsession with power. They think we're so powerful. Well, they're scared of our power.
Yeah. The women have the feminist narrative is the boogeyman called the patriarchy is what has been running the world, and every woman has swallowed that fucking bullshit.
No, I know.
And so they somehow think that because men, if you kind of take a glance around at the world, men appear to be in the majority of people that are in a position of power, right? You take a quick glance, glance, you'll see that. So the feminist narrative is that based on that observation, the assumption is that men have been dominating all the power in the world, and women have sort of been like the proletariat class. And I'm going to go.
Right.
I always compare it to the kind of the Marxist.
Yeah, Marxism. Yeah.
And so what's happened? Well, two things. Number one, with that quick glance and the feminist narrative on the brain, they do not see the fact that, yes, the majority of power positions are dominated by men, but so are the majority of shit positions.
Yes.
Right? So are the majority of homeless.
Dirty and hard work, that you get injured on your occupation. I'm pretty sure they will never take those jobs on, which means it'll always be a world where men are needed for civilization to work.
Yeah.
Also, jobs like police officers and security people in ICE, the ICE. These are men that hold the society together. Yeah. Most of them are men. Some of them are women.
And it's funny because these women think that if they if they bitch enough about these power plays, that somehow it'll put them in a position. But
Well,
the other thing, number two, the thing that they gloss over in those quick glances at society is the fact that these men that are dominate these positions of power in society, also with that comes a huge responsibility for them.
yes.
And the problem with women is they want all that without the responsibility.
Well, I had a really great career. I probably made a couple $1,000,000 over my career, saved it, and then spent most of it. But the way I did that was to work into the best position I could and then travel. I traveled for 19 years. See, now, most people with children or families, they won't travel. So I traveled. There's inconvenience pay for traveling, and I would even work over the weekend and help the client out. I would even stay there. Like I lived in Saudi Arabia for 6 months or something, lived there for my company. Now they pay you real well when you're willing to sacrifice. It's just sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely. Your time is worth the money. But this is something maybe the listeners should know about you, is that you until now have never been married, correct?
Correct.
And so because of that basically freed up a lot of your time throughout your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I could travel and I didn't have to worry about I see the other men who travel, and they're like, honey, I'm like, at the last minute they're on their cell phones talking to their wife to try and, honey, it'll be great. I'll be back as soon as possible. And I'm like, yikes. This is a crazy life. You're just, trying to make these women feel secure that they're not going to cheat on them.
Yeah.
When you're away.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, before I was married, I traveled a lot, and I couldn't even imagine traveling with a woman. I just couldn't even imagine it.
Well, I traveled with a couple of women, and I'll tell you what they would do with me. They'd say, we would go to a town somewhere like Dallas, Texas, and meet the client, and then she'd be like, there's this 5-star restaurant we've got to go eat at tonight. So we would, we were on expense accounts, so we would spend the company's money. But this is what they want to do. Oh, and there's a gold diamond store. I want to go look for a new gold ring. This is, I just feel like, what is wrong with the world that can't see these major differences between men and women?
Yeah.
Nowadays we're supposed to fake that we are exactly alike.
Another thing that the listeners might be interested in about yourself is the fact that you have a wiki page, and you mentioned that it had to do with your experience with roller derby. Do you want to talk about that for the listeners? I think that's it's interesting.
Okay. Well, when I was a kid, we're talking really young, I didn't fit into other sports very well. But I watched roller derby on TV one day, and I thought, I'm going to get some skates, and I went to the roller rink, and I became a flat track. I skated flat track speed skating for about 6 years, and then I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to California and join the professional roller derby, which I did, and I skated on different teams for about 12 years, and then I owned a team. I owned a league for about 7 years or 8 years.
In California?
Yeah. We were skating all around Northern California mostly. But I skated at Madison Square Garden. I put that one down on my list.
Nice. So it was roller derby was a business for you?
It was for me. Well, everything is kind of like a business to me. I'm just that kind of person. I always think of the pros and cons of things, and how can you parlay that into this, and keep your life moving forward.
Yeah. And you wrote a book on roller derby women.
Yes.
And I'll talk a little bit about that, because first of all, number one, roller derby's not a really big sport anymore, although it does still exist. I know that.
No.
But also, it was roller derby, at least from what I understand about it, from the little exposure I've had to it, is that it was very prominently seen as sort of a female sport, and female roller derby, I think, was probably more popular than male roller derby.
Than the men. Yeah, the women always attracted the audience. The way the business model worked was the women sell the tickets and the men make the sport look real. Because, okay, the women would do a lot of, we're built so different. The women would do a lot of cutesy plays that would make the audience laugh, and they would end up in a fight, and somebody would get knocked out, and blah, 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 and the audience goes crazy. Then
that's great.
The men, yeah, that's the way the formula worked. The men take the track, and all of a sudden they're going twice as fast, and they're doing these heroic jumps and leaps over people that are scattered around the track. A lot more physical. So that was the formula, and the idea, I think, would make you think these women are really brutes. Now, when I was managing the teams, I have to say, the women skaters, I would hire the skaters and give them position and that kind of thing. And God, they are power-hungry bitches. They're terrible.
Well, that makes for good roller derby, right?
Oh, you want to hire a good person that's going to satisfy the crowd. Then she calls you and she goes, I want you to fire this blonde on that team, and I never want to see her around again. And, she wants total control of the lineup so that she looks good and nobody else looks good.
Well, the other question I had, now I'm a little bit ignorant about the sport itself, but can you explain a little bit of kind of the rules to help me better understand how it might be an attractive sport if women are the participants?
Well, it's skated differently nowadays, but it used to be on a bank track, and the women skate against the women's team. There'd be 5 girls versus another 5 girls on another team. And the whistle starts, and these jammers, who are the speedsters, try to break from the front of the pack, come back around to the end of the pack, and once they start passing opponents, you start getting points for that team.
Okay.
Yeah. And then at the end of the session, whatever it is, the one with the total points wins.
I remember very vaguely when I was a kid. Now this obviously would have been in kind of the 80s, I guess, that there was roller derby on television, and I watched it, and it was fast, and it was always women. I didn't even know there was men roller derby.
Yeah, that's what happens. People watch it and they don't see the men, which is okay with me. All of our games were televised when I was skating, but nowadays, well, because it was a sports entertainment product, in other words, it was a little bit choreographed like professional wrestling.
Yes, exactly. That's why it fascinated me, because it was like professional wrestling. And I mean, to be honest, who doesn't like to see women beat the shit out of each other, man?
Yes, we do. We love that. I don't know why. Yeah, it's entertainment. Yeah, but they're actually worse to themselves. I knew the old roller derby skaters from the olden days, of 40s and 50s. I wrote in my book about the women who skated in the 1950s, and they, for the better part, are dead. But they took all of their grudges. They had real grudges against the other top stars, I would say. So-and-so was a star. So-and-so hated her because it's just jealousy. It's just crazy. But they take their grudges to their death. And so my involvement in roller derby educated me a lot about how manipulative and backstabbing the women are.
Oh, I imagine. It's and something like roller derby is sort of an arena for them to take that shit out on each other.
That's right. They take it out on one another, and they would purposely hurt another skater. Skaters don't really want to hurt somebody, but the girls would purposely hurt another skater that they wanted to get off the teams.
Right.
Because she had blonde hair, or she was trying to hit on the other girl's lover. You know, there's some lesbians in roller derby.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
So was there a lot of lesbianism in roller derby?
Well, I would say maybe half the girls were lesbian. Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy.
And usually lesbians are abusive.
True.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of times they are the people that are running the women's organizations.
Yep.
Wow.
These lesbians, they want power.
So so these women would be skating around the rink going, "That's the chick that licked my partner's pussy. I'm gonna fucking knock her out."
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or if a girl was being hit on by one of the male skaters, there were some married couples in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's like you were saying about this before, drama. It's endless drama.
Yeah.
As soon as I would book a game, the phone would ring. Well, you got to put so and so on this team. You got to put so and so in this position. You know, they're trying to control me. And well, if you don't do that, I'm going to quit. And they would pull these little. Well, it's a lot like we're seeing now. You know, this guy Kavanaugh is supposed to be the judge, but in the last minute, somebody's like, "Oh, he raped me." And they would do that to me all the time. Like the day before the game, they would call me with their demands.
Mm-hmm.
And I need skaters. We booked the game. The fans, tickets are sold. Blah blah blah. Yeah. What can I say?
Wow.
I mean, it was hard work because I didn't like the men are easy to manage. All they care about is their ego. So if you promise that the announcer will highlight a score that they did or something like that, you know, or you put their name on your posters or the advertisements, they're just pleased. They just want to satisfy.
I have a couple comments here that are talking. I find this whole roller derby business fascinating, especially because it's just the attraction it had for women to be a part of the spectacle. You know.
Yep. Yeah.
Somebody, let's see. Cabin Boy says, I remember watching roller games on TV when I was about 7 or 8. And then Mekong Farang says Roller Jam was on TNN from 1999 to 2004. Yeah. Then TNN was bought out and became Spike TV. Do you know?
I know all of that because I owned the Roller Jam trademark, and I sold to the owners of that Roller Jam for a nice little penny.
When did you? Yeah. When did you sell it?
Oh, when did Roller Jam start? 90s?
Well, it says Mekong Farang says Roller Jam was on TNN from 99 to 2004.
Yeah, in the late 90s, they bought the rights of the name, the trademark.
The trademark Roller Jam. So you made the trademark Roller Jam.
Yes.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And then, I mean, God, that's making me curious, man. I'm gonna have to go browse through the internet and try to find some of these old roller derby matches.
Yeah, some of the old ones are all out on YouTube somewhere, sure.
Yeah, they got to be there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your perspective to me is somebody that recognizes MGTOW and understands it and has a relationship with the concept of MGTOW. I think a lot of that might have been shaped in the business of roller derby for you.
Yes.
Fascinating. Now, is there anything else you want to add as far as your background? Anything you want to share?
Well, I feel like I've had 3 to 5 lives, and I'm living the 5th life right now as an author.
Right.
Well, you're not in your twilight yet, so you still got some gas in the tank.
Oh yeah, you still got some years left, man, for sure.
Well, I just finished my 7th book, and I'm waiting for inspiration now.
Right. Well,
Waiting for the next thing.
That's great. I mean, any man that has time to wait for inspiration is doing something right, man.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
No, I wish I had that kind of time, but not yet.
Well, I've had a couple of glimmers of, oh God, you know, I'm a Jordan Peterson fan.
Okay.
I love that guy, and he's inspired some of the writing in my Masculinity Is Our Future book,
Right.
and some of his thoughts. And he has talked about the research about how aggressive women destroy a person's character. When a woman gets aggressive, she'll go after your character. And I feel like the all of feminism, the women's studies and gender studies, these are just 100% character assassination of men. There's nothing else in there. Have you ever heard of feminists say anything good about men?
No, that's not a part of the doctrine.
Never. No, never. So it's all backstabbing, character assassination. It's really a lot of lies and propaganda.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so,
I wanted to actually kind of get, you know, if we get into your books, I wanted to start with the masculinity one.
Sure.
What's the title again? It's the title of the show.
Masculinity Is Our Future. Now, let me tell you about this title. I didn't start this, you know, title and then write the book. By the end of the book, I decided, yeah, masculinity, because, okay, our world right now hates masculinity. And, you know, I just get so tired of hearing about toxic masculinity and men beating up women and all of the violence against women and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. So I sat down and I thought, is that true? Are we toxic? Are we violent? Blah, blah, blah. Let me just kind of open my eyes and do research, read as much as I can, as many books as I can, articles, scientific articles, whatever, and try and figure out, well, is masculinity toxic? And by the time I finished the book, I decided, no, masculinity is our future.
Right. And it's, I have to agree with that, and I think most MGTOW men or men's rights activists or people that are just trying to weed their way through the bullshit of modern day sort of neo-Marxist feminism, they understand
that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Well, I felt when I started this, I didn't know what masculinity was. I mean, I took this into me. In fact, chapter 1 is called When I Knew I Was a Real Man. So I kind of share my own journey to figure out, how did I, you know, because I think that this is kind of always nagging in the back of our minds, like, how do I be a man? Am I being man enough? Am I manning up enough? And on and on and on it goes, you know.
Well,
because
sorry,
yes.
Go ahead.
Well, women have a whole list of things for us to do to prove to them that we're a man.
Right. And you said, in your book, you said that you grew up in the 60s and 70s during the explosive rise of the women's rights movement. That to
exactly.
me, that's a wonderful perspective. For a majority of the listeners here today, they can't say that. They weren't eyewitness to that happening.
Well, in 1969, I was introduced to it was the women's women's and gay liberation movement were kind of together.
They're hand in hand, man.
Yeah, and the immediate thing I thought was, my poor mother, she has to do all of the fixing of the food for the family. So I thought, we need to liberate women. I really got on board with this for a long time. And it probably wasn't. Well, to tell you the honest to God truth, when the women's offices on college campuses decided that men charged of rape or sexual assault get no due process and are just kicked off. They lose their whole, these people, these guys, they lose their whole career. Maybe they were headed towards the NFL or basketball. A lot of the chicks in colleges like those types of men,
Right.
and screw with them and then yell rape.
Yes.
So a lot of these guys are immediately kicked off. That was the end of it for me. I just will never go back to feminism. I'm cool with equality. Yeah, work hard, like I did. So you should work hard.
Yes. Well, that's the thing is equality has the problem. The problem with feminism and its neo-Marxist counterparts is that they, and this is very Orwellian, but they redefine words. They define it to suit their ideology.
That's right.
So when I hear a woman say equality, I know that it has no meaning. It has no meaning to its original word.
This is what I've thought too, is that nobody will sit down and tell me, what do you mean by equality? Break it down. Are you saying you want 50% women in Congress and 50% men? Are you saying they have to be a certain number of blacks, a certain number of LGBTQs? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And nobody will know specifically, but nobody will break it. So they argue women's equality, and everybody goes, oh, well, of course.
Yes.
Of course. We all love that. We all want that. I want my sister to do well. I want my mother's, I just want people to do well in general. I'm a people person. So, yeah, we're baffled. And then the next thing you hear is that we're all a bunch of oppressive, patriarchal men who are basically, we comprise a rape culture. We have a culture that loves to get drunk and rape girls.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, with the idea of equality too, I don't, by its natural and true definition of the word equality, I don't want everything to be equal. That's insane.
No, I don't either. No, because we aren't now.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. We are not equal. I wrote 7 books. Go write 7 books. I wrote 7 books because I had the time, the energy, the motivation, the inspiration, and it was painful.
Exactly.
By the end of this, it's just like, no, everybody isn't going to write 7 books. Everybody is not going to be a great NFL player or a basketball player. Everybody is not going to be a great seamstress or whatever. You can,
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to be equal to my neighbor.
No.
Why would I fucking want to be equal to him? I don't want to be equal to my brother. I don't want to be equal to, I'm an individual.
Exactly. Yeah, we are. And we struggle to find our niche that is a little bit different or better, than our brothers and our neighbors.
Right.
That's what we want. We want to be an individual.
Absolutely.
And be accepted. I don't want to be accepted as being a man or any other, identity group.
Yeah. And this is
well, that's the whole point of that's the glory of the United States, is that everyone's their own character. That's why so many people want to move to the United States,
right.
is to become their own character, to have their own form of identity. You look at people from India. People from India say they want to be a rock star. Their parents would probably lynch them for even talking like that.
Right. You're right.
So.
Hey, my dad didn't never like me wanting to be a roller derby skater. Trust me. He didn't like that idea until I made it on television.
You got destroyed by that James Caan movie Rollerball. Who are you kidding?
Yes. I skated. I tried to get into that movie, and they said, well, we have Germans in Germany. We're shooting it in Germany, so we have all the white guys we need.
Wait, this was a movie you were trying to get into? I didn't know about this.
Yeah. They called me to skate in front of the movie producers. They came out to see skaters, and so I was there. And then they made an announcement. They said, "Well, we don't need white skaters because we're doing all the shooting of rollerball.
Rollerball.
Yeah, in Germany."
Great movie.
Yeah, fun movie.
Damn it!
Yep.
I'm gonna get that movie now.
That's awesome.
I didn't know that. Rollerball it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right on. Hold
Very
on.
underrated movie.
You see, I have a whole other life of being totally involved in roller derby for really 30 years.
Shit.
It's kind of crazy and embarrassing.
That's amazing.
In a way.
No, it's
I
amazing.
loved it. I loved it. I wanted it. Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to the chat. Super MGTOW is saying that we're invisible. No, you're not invisible, Super MGTOW. And if you notice, we don't have any super chats, so you can't give us money, even if you want to. It says, "Is there?" He says, "Is there a call-in number?" No, we do not. We are not set up to take in live calls. Yeah, it could be something to do in the future.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Work on this, because I think that men need to communicate more.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a chapter in Masculinity that we are told left and right, share your emotions, be more emotional. And I covered a whole chapter on that. And
share your emotions, be more emotional.
Yeah, and women always tell that to us. And the feminists will say, the reason you're killing yourself, suicide, is that, is that you can't open up and share your feelings. I disagree strongly about that. I just think that men are different than women. Women outwardly share their feelings. We aren't that way, generally, most of us,
They spit on you if you share your emotions.
Well, yeah, they won't like you. Yeah.
Well, it's insane, because the feminist narrative will have women playing the coy position and saying, if you just shared your emotions more, you'd stop killing yourselves. But then when a man does try to share his emotion, he's ridiculed, humbled, and spurned. It's a sick game.
Very sick. It's just more male bashing. I feel like we have very deep passions, which are emotions that go far deeper than what women have. Look, we just talked about one of my passions, roller derby. Mm-hmm. It took, I spent 30 years in that, 14 broken bones, hours and hours of training, and having to stay in shape so that you could do that when it was time to do that. Mm-hmm. The game, and that is a deep passion that was with me for 30 years. I just don't think a lot of women have these deep passions. Like, who invented NASCAR? It's got to be a man somewhere. Who invented football? It's got to be a man somewhere. We have these passions that go far beyond wanting to stay at home with our children and make sure our husband is, being a good boy.
Well, it seems like the only passion women really have that they commit to is the passion to find somebody with enough money to pay for everything they want.
That's
so
right.
They can sit on their ass.
and to control this person and keep them around.
Yeah,
to browbeat them, to nag, and and control them sexually. It's pretty sad.
Let me quote from your Masculinity Is Our Future book, where it says, profound emotions versus tearful. And this was in a section where you were, basically, what is masculinity? And you kind of gave some bullet points. And I really like a lot of these bullet points. The one that you mentioned, hold on, let me just find it again. Okay, profound emotions versus tearful. And this is quoting you. Masculinity has profound emotional interactions with others and the world. Stop telling men that they must learn to cry. Stop comparing men's emotions to women. Modern transgender science has debunked these old wives' tales.
See, yeah, you take certain hormones and you're not going to have those, I want to cry on your shoulder,
That's right.
Like that women do. So
I've brought that up before too. And when you said transgender science, I think with the awakening of transgenderism in the mainstream media, and it's brought forth a lot of the studies that have been done in the past, and when it comes to transgenderism, it's basically a mental illness. It's an imbalance. It's something that needs to be addressed by a doctor not pushed by mainstream media.
That's right.
And it's brought to light how something as simple as a hormone can absolutely change the behavior and the physical appearance of a human being.
Now, I really hate where I guess it's the LGBTQ, the advocates are taking this whole trans non-binary thing. I'm really against all that. And I throw some of my articles deal with that, like some people actually want a genderless society.
Well, that's what they're pushing. That's the main objective, one of the main objectives.
Yeah. I mean, how would you know who you want to fuck if everybody was genderless? I don't know. That's weird.
Well,
I know.
I find it funny. Feminists are really, the feminist channels I follow, and I follow them because it helps me bring material to the chats every weekend. Is that the feminists really hate the transgender movement? Why?
Yes.
And I'm thinking the reason why they hate it is because they're losing their power to manipulate men, and they're against the gay rights movement.
Yep.
And they're against the transgender movement because that's a way of them losing their power and their dominance over men. If all these guys just start going gay and start dressing as women, and now these transgenders want hypergamy, well, guess what? They're in big trouble, man.
Yeah. Who's in on their game?
Well, there's a big argument going on between the lesbians who want to separate from the LGBTQ. They're saying we don't want women around here that still have a penis. I don't feel safe. They're like, I love this. I don't feel safe with that old woman over there in a dress and he's still got a penis.
Yeah, his balls are hanging out.
Yeah, it's scaring me. It's scaring me.
Well, it's part of the meme or the understanding that the left eats itself. But this is the same. Yeah. It's the same when you study a little bit about communism, its rise, and Marxism. And
yes.
In the end, it's always useful idiots that are eaten by their neighbors. So it's not surprising to me. There's
So what are the feminists going to do? They're going to turn to men and try to correct the situation? Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. I basically decide in writing this book here, Masculinity Is Our Future, that you really don't have a civilization without masculinity.
No, you don't. You're absolutely
right. And I'm even okay with a lesbian being masculine, let's say, and she works for the fire department or whatever.
Or she skates for you.
Yeah, exactly. And she puts in that effort that the men do, because most of these organizations might have a few, women who have masculine attributes. Mm-hmm. But that's rare. That's not the common.
Well, I'm gonna quote a little bit more from that section there of what is masculinity, because there's some good stuff in here. The second bullet point, brave and heroic. When masculine characters are confronted by danger, some, if not most, will consider strategic and heroic actions, or be as stoic as necessary to bring about a desired outcome. History and the massive amount of psychological research suggests that during a crisis, men are more likely to be reliable and less likely to cry out for help or break down than women.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is one of the great things about men. We're not even thinking, if I go in that building to save somebody, I might die. We're not thinking that way. But women think that way because they're more interested in security and saving themselves.
Well, self-preservation, absolutely.
Self-preservation, yeah. I love to. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think a lot of, again, it's hormonal, but it's biological, and I was just going to say
biological.
Yeah, I was going to say that self-preservation, as far as women are concerned, has to do with the fact that they carry a fetus in their stomach for 9 months, and you can't change that. That's nature.
No, can't change it. Can't change it. Okay, I'll tell you a secret. I was trying to brainstorm what are masculine qualities, and so I went to MGTOW.com and I posted, and people contributed, and this list got longer and longer and longer, and I had to cut it back a little bit. So right around, I think chapter 2 is kind of a list of what I decided in between all this writing and negotiating with other MGTOW guys. Are the typical masculine traits. And then the next chapter, I decided that as societies, as a whole, masculine qualities are the gold standard. This is the standard for winning and surviving in the world.
I don't know. We can extend that to Southeast Asia. I mean, being masculine in, let's say, Indonesia and the Kampungs and Kalimantan. I mean, getting drunk and beating a woman to death isn't really. Well, or I'm sorry. I was having a conversation with a Chinese woman today, and she was complaining about her ex-husband, who she left back in the rural provinces of China, and all he did was get drunk, chain smoke, gamble, and fight. That's pretty rudimentary.
Not very masculine.
No. Well, I do touch on those subjects about brutality, male brutality, and I actually make some suggestions of what we can do as a society to reduce, because men can become bullies.
Well, let me read again. I'll read from the book. Anger and Tough Love. Again, this is a masculine quality. Anger can be used to move forward positively, and most people are intuitively aware that a forceful wake-up call and rigid boundaries can prevent or redirect someone from heading down a wrong or dangerous path. They also understand, however, that applying such measures at an inappropriate time can have the opposite effect. Very masculine concept, I'm saying now, end quote, but I believe it's a very masculine concept, and that I understand how men have, because of their physical strength, when they rise to anger, there's a threat, especially to women, but not just to women, it's a threat to other men.
Other men, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the rise to anger is not just a threat to women, it's not just a threat to children, it's also a threat to other men. And if we're men, we have to admit that. But it does, like you said, if it's done correctly, if it's used positively, it can prevent or redirect someone from heading down a wrong or dangerous path. But it can have the opposite effect at an inappropriate time.
No, exactly.
It's funny you talk about this, because I just thought of something. There was a South Park episode where all the guys go metrosexual. And it basically is an episode where it's really all the guys in South Park go gay, and they're doing a metrosexual pride day, and they're marching down the street. We're here, we're not queer, but we're close, get used to it. And the float catches fire. The float catches fire, and all the metrosexual guys, Stan's dad, Kyle's dad, they're like, oh my God, who's gonna put out the fire? Who's gonna put out the fire? And they're all running around as the fire spreads, and the women are like, oh my God, you guys have to do something about this. And they're like, no, we don't. We're metrosexual. We're not putting out the fire.
Well, it's really interesting. If we were to stop being masculine and men, how quickly things would fall apart.
Yeah.
Well, go look at Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's scary. But I really like the idea of anger and tough love as a masculine trait, and it is a masculine trait. And it's funny because in my experience, women get angry for very, very different reasons than men do.
Yes.
And their anger tends to be very selfish and single-minded. There's very little thought into the outcome of what their anger might provoke. It's very, very selfish.
Yeah, in my life, I've had friends, and a couple of times, I don't know how many, you just have to tell them the truth. Look, I love you, but if you don't stop eating, you're going to be an obese pig,
Yes.
And this was effective. And it's not always effective. You got to be real careful about how. I've had friends who I've been able to speak to them in a way where they stop the alcohol use.
Right. Well, it's
because let's say, yeah.
But that reminds me of when you talk about, when you just mentioned obesity. There's a concept, very feminine, estrogen fueled concept of do not shame, right? Don't shame. Shaming is bad, but in the end, it's a part of tough love.
That's right.
If somebody is severely overweight or on their way to be, sometimes shaming can make them change their habits in a better way, towards a better direction.
I completely disagree with the positive movement, a fat positive or whatever it is, body positive movement, where the heavy women, I just think they look like they're ready to, I don't know, they're just ready to collapse from exhaustion trying to walk.
Oh yeah.
That's not healthy.
It's one thing.
Well, we talk about, we talk a lot about obesity epidemic in America, but if you really take a step back and look, I mean, from a social observation standpoint, out in public, it's mostly women that are obese. It's not the men.
You're right.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
There's more obese women, but
I do. Yes, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I was just saying it's we pay money into our health system. It's mostly women who use that money.
That's right.
We pay money into our tax system, and mostly women who take that money out for different programs and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an interesting point, is the fact that the health system, the healthcare system, I think in most countries in the Western, quote unquote, Western world, it's women are the main people who are taking out of that healthcare system.
You're right. They need it more often. Well, they're the ones that birth the children, so that's the first.
Well, that's a part of it.
Healthcare need. Yes. But as they get older, and I think, oh God, I hate to say this. I've never said these things before, but
it's okay here, man. You can say it.
Women have a whole bunch of issues about worrying about how I look. Do I have this disease? And and following up with going to the doctor and getting this pill and that pill. I just think they fall into that category much more than men.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what's fueling the ADHD, autism, OCD, all these hypochondriac type of ideas on their children? It's women. Oh, my son's special. My daughter's special. He's autistic. No, he's just retarded. I'm sorry to bring the news to you.
Yeah. No, you're right.
He doesn't have ADD. He just needs a beating.
And it's also the teachers. We have far too many female teachers. I'd love to see some equality there, but they don't want to talk about that kind of equality.
No.
But yeah, the women teachers, I mean, I was hyperactive when I was a kid. I was a hyperactive kid all my life.
You eventually ran and promoted a roller derby league.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I mean, yeah. I've always been hyperactive and needed to do things and race and all this stuff. So in my day, they would have just drugged me.
God damn.
Yeah, and then probably I wouldn't have these I wouldn't be able to. I mean, I think the great thing about being a man in the world is that we can aspire to whatever we want to do in the world. We can change the world. We're the ones who create everything. We're the ones who build everything. We're mostly the inventors. I mean, we're the ones that the world waits for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely right. I'll go into another quote from your book, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay, this is from What is Masculinity, and it's another bullet point. This one was accountable, able to lead. Masculine assets can relate to the saying that the buck stops here. They learn about integrity and accountability early on and understand that they will be among those called upon to handle issues and find solutions that others will be unable to deal with by themselves. Over time, men often rise from the ranks of ordinary individuals to become leaders of families, organizations, social institutions, and societies. Those privileged enough to assume such roles understand the well-known quote that with great power comes even greater responsibility, which we kind of brushed over earlier.
Yeah, right. And this is where I worry about women with great power. I don't know if they're going to be even-handed.
Well, they don't want the responsibility of great power. That's their Achilles heel. Unless
you're Hillary Clinton.
Well, she doesn't want the responsibility of power. Those people in that, women in that position of power, they have no responsibility. She's still a free woman. She should be in jail.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man? They got no responsibility.
Don't tell that. We got someone from San Francisco on this chat right now, okay?
Do we?
He might get offended. He might call ACLU on us.
Hey, listen, I have friends that are like talking to me. Tim, you keep listening to these videos in the mornings. We're worried about you.
It sounds like my dad.
Yeah.
Just say to him, at least I'm not taking a dump on the fucking street.
Yeah. Listen, I know I do crave this information. I want more of it. Ever since the Barbarossa video, I just feel like this is a whole new way of thinking, a whole new worldview. You know, I grew up in the liberal world. I know it all. You want to save everybody. You want to feed the poor. Woo! Go ahead, do it. You know.
Oh God.
No, they want someone else's money, and they take someone else's money, and they get to divvy it up and feed the poor and stuff while they sip macchiatos in some half-assed version of Starbucks.
And they live in a walled city. You know, they all live in some kind of walled neighborhoods. They're not allowed. They're segregating themselves. These people.
What are you saying, AM? She visited Bali for 3 days. Okay, she's so in tune with the world.
Oh, fuck. And it's not even just the women visiting Bali for 3 days. I mean, it's the women that are the talking heads in the political spectrum on our televisions today. You know, that are pushing this sort of socialist narrative. Women and men, but specifically with the women, they're not opening doors for anybody. Not a cent that they demand to be torn out of the taxpayer to pay for their fucking bullshit utopia is going to come out of their pocket.
I honestly think I've been thinking it the past week because I kept sending you pictures throughout the week of what's on the cover of the New York Post, AM.
Yeah.
And as I kept sending them to you, I started thinking, I'm like, maybe the media is just trolling the American people at this point. Like, they don't even take it seriously anymore. You see what I'm saying?
I agree with you. I don't think so. I mean, I have to watch 3 cable news stations. I'm retired, so I have the time to do that, to piece together my interpretation of what's going on in the world, the news.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think Fox is just. I think it's poison at this point. I mean, I live with a 94-year-old man, and all he does is because he refuses to have hearing aids or those little headphones. That he refuses to put those in his ears. So it's Fox News full blast 24 hours, and he just sits in front of it like a drone. And I've come to realize that it's pure poison. It really truly is.
All 3 of them are. That's why I have to. And I can only watch an hour or 2 a day because they repeat all their stories. And
that's all, just an hour or 2 of Fox News. Yeah. That'll get you amped up and your blood pressure.
That's enough, yeah. That's enough.
Calm yourself. I'll go get your Lipitor pills.
I do take cholesterol pills.
Oh, well, we're going to do a whole episode on that, on the veganism and the poison of the pharmaceutical industry. We're going to get there, but I'm digressing here. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, like I just said, Fox News on 24 hours and all these pundits, just people you don't even know. I'm like, who the fuck is this girl weighing and sharing her opinion on Trump impeachment? Then I flip on, I use AOL. It's like the search engine that pops up at work. So AOL pops up when I I walk in the morning, and the first headline is Hillary Clinton weighs on Trump impeachment. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Right? And you go down to the comment section, it's just vitriol hatred. Fuck her. She should be in jail. Every single comment, it's got like 20,000 thumbs up on her going to jail. And that's why I'm thinking, like, is the media just punking us? Are they just trolling us? I mean, putting Alex Jones, deplatforming Alex Jones and stuff. I really think the media is just out just playing with us at this point. And all it's doing is creating more Trump supporters at this point. Because at this point in my life, I haven't made this kind of money ever in my life, and I don't know how much of it has to do with Trump, spitting, horse shit onto the airwaves, saying, stock market, 25,000 points, that's because of me, because of Donald J. I'm like, how much is it really, him making this thing happen? And like I said, I've told Ayam a couple of live streams ago, everybody around me seems really happy. Everyone's making fun of the mainstream media. Everyone's making fun of feminism. I have not really met someone from the other end of the spectrum defending this garbage, unless this person is like mentally retarded, and you kind of look person, I'm like, he's a little slow, so he votes Democrat. Like, that's the only people voting Democrat at this point, and people that are on welfare, single moms, minorities that don't know any better. I mean, that's basically who the Democrats have in their pocket.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, who do you think the people that you manage as far as in property, lamprey, who do they vote for? I mean,
well, they vote Democrat.
Yeah.
But it's the complete opposite of what they should be voting for, because I know their moral view on the world and stuff. I know how much they hate taxes. My coworker comes into me the other day because I gave him his vacation pay, and he starts flipping the fuck out on me about this paid family leave. You know what paid family leave is, AM?
Yes, I know what it is, man.
Okay, so that's a new law they just passed in New York in January, right? And he goes, Nick, what the fuck is this? How come I got slapped with this paid family leave on my vacation pay? I go, well, you voted for de Blasio. He goes, I don't fucking vote. Well, maybe you should be part of the democratic process there, de Blasio. I go, I don't know. You keep voting for this fucking pile of shit. That's why you just got deducted $20 for paid family leave. And he goes, but that takes money from my own family. I go, I know. Isn't it funny how that works?
Ironic. Where is he from? Where is he from?
He's Guyana.
So he's an immigrant.
He's an immigrant. Bust his ass every day. I mean, this guy works hard. He works so hard, man. I mean, he comes in, he's hungover, his eyeballs are hanging out of his face, his brother's dying, he's taking care of his kids, and he comes in, he sees his vacation pay deducted $50 for paid family leave. Then he's asking me, when did they initiate? I pull it up onto Google. I go, January 1st, 2008. Wow. You lose money, and now it goes to your family.
Goes to somebody who's,
the American dream, man. He's living the American dream. Welcome.
He was laughing about it. He goes, you voted for de Blasio. He goes, no, I fucking didn't. I go, yeah, you did.
Oh, Jesus. So the Democratic Party, and this ties in absolutely with what we're talking about with feminism and its comparison to masculinism, but the Democratic Party is, it's like a person that's near flatlining, like someone on an ER table. It's about the flatline, and everything they're throwing out there to try and preserve their life. Is they're trying to draw in ignorant immigrants. And single mothers that are already addicted to the social welfare program.
The social welfare. Yeah, well, everything's free now,
The bigger problem is on the other end of the paradigm, as far as like Republican goes and conservatives and blah blah blah, is that within the Democratic strongholds like San Francisco, like New York City, like Detroit, there is no opposition to the Democratic machine. So when I'm walking down the streets of New York City, all I see is vote this Democrat, vote that Democrat, vote this progressive, vote this feminist. I'm like, where's the Republican guy? There is no Republican guy, because Republicans do something called a scorched earth policy. All they do is know how to fall back Fall back. We lost this area. Fall back. We got to go where the white
burn
people
the crops.
Burn the crops.
It's like the Soviets in World War II, man.
Right.
Burn the crops.
That's what I mean by scorched earth policy. So the Republicans don't even make an effort in these urban centers. Make no effort, and there's no money behind these Republicans. I mean, where does Rand Paul get his money from? It's just from average people. There's no mega oligarch like Google or Facebook funding Rand Paul.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, I live in San Francisco, and there's all the politics are liberal here. There's just nobody. Well, you know what we're going to do now? We're going to put where everybody's injecting drugs into themselves. We're going to give them free injection sites.
They did that here too, man. It's insane.
That'll slow down their addiction to heroin, And it's kind of like
they have a safe space, Tim.
Yeah.
They
have a safe space so they can shoot up. And of course, we'll pay for it all. I mean, it's just sad. I'd love to see people get better who are out on the streets, but this isn't encouraging them to get better.
It's not a solution. It's not a fucking solution to the problem. It's a solution to their liberal pocket woes. That's all it is, man. And it's happening here too. I mean, I every time I hear about it, I say, well, why aren't they giving out free liquor to all the alcoholics? Wouldn't that solve everything? Wouldn't that solve the liquor problem? Wouldn't that solve, the drinking and driving problem? Just give them free booze.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we give them needles. We give them their needles.
That's sustainable.
Yeah. Well,
that's organic.
It's just it's crazy.
Well, speaking,
I don't know what to think about it all.
Well,
Well, yeah. You have to understand history. This is China 1880. That's what it is when they're pushing heroin and marijuana onto the masses.
The poppy.
So they can just rape and pillage the nation. It's a form of imperialism. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not so much capitalism anymore in the United States. It's like England, 18 whatever, where they, Dutch trading company style of corporatism, imperialism,
yes,
where Colgate, Google, all these massive conglomerates. And the other thing you have to understand is, and I had a buddy of mine in Cambodia explain this to me, and Hardy knows what I'm talking about, is that these mega corporations have no lineage. No, they don't care about the country that made them what they are.
No.
Taco Bell don't give a fuck about Southern California, where it originated from. Now it cares more about being bought out by the Chinese, which
and
is
giving
in fact,
you diarrhea.
a fact. And giving you diarrhea. I mean, KFC and Taco Bell are in fact owned by the Chinese. So how many people know that?
Well,
so eat your Taco Bell.
Speaking of that, man, that's why we worship the poppy when it comes to the Western world. No, we do. We in Flanders Fields, man. In Flanders Fields, the poppies grow. I mean, the
seed bag?
No, it's the poppy is the history of opiates, which allowed the monarchy of Europe to rule the world. They use that plant. They use that flower. That's why we worship it. When we talk about World War II, when we talk about wars, it's remember. This is how.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you're right.
And even today, it's happening in my own backyard, right? I mean, in my own hometown, which is a very small city in southern Alberta, they've opened up a needle exchange shop. 2 to 3 months after it opened, where they give people a safe place to inject their opiates from the poppy, which is grown in Afghanistan. And was used to take over China. These people come in, they're given needles and a place to inject, right? They've got their illegal drugs in their pocket. They walk into the place, they stick it in their needle, they inject. 2 to 3 months after this place opened up, a little kid got pricked by a fucking needle that was on a playground.
Wow.
You're lucky you didn't get hepatitis.
We don't know because they have to do a test.
Yeah.
They have to do a test.
Yeah.
So, it's nobody wants this shit, man. The general public doesn't want this shit. They didn't vote for it. They don't want it. And that's the problem with our democratic system, is that we don't know what we're even voting for anymore.
Exactly.
Like nobody put in a ballot and said, yes, I want this leader, whether liberal or conservative, to build a place where drunkies can just shoot up anytime they want, and then my little kid can get pricked with a fucking needle.
No, you're right. You're right.
Son of a bitch, my dad drank all my Hennessy. What a dick.
Hey, I want to get into a little bit more about your books here, Tim, before before the show ends.
Yeah, because I would like to leave you guys in about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Aw, Tim.
I know.
We're just getting to know you.
I know. We're just getting. Look, you can gossip about me when I leave.
But he's an older guy. I understand. I'm
an older guy. I've got to go to bed early.
Or he's got to watch his Nick at night. I know.
But on the Masculinity Is Our Future, I had another MGTOW guy. He has a great speaking voice. He did an audio track, so it's available in paperback, digital, and audio. And the great thing about audiobooks is you can listen to them in the background while you're doing something in the foreground.
Yes.
So I like that about that book. Now, I am having another book put to audio right now, but it won't be ready for another 6 months or so.
Well, that's great. Just for the viewers, you heard it there. The book that we've been quoting, Masculinity is Our Future, is available in audio. So you can go to the links that I posted below of the show. It's the link to Tim's main Amazon page. All his books are there. You can find it. Go there, buy a book or an audio, and support MGTOW content. Very good idea. Now, let's...
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem, man. I want to go over a couple more little points you made. Here's the next one that I got here. Problem solver, creative.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a masculine trait. Problem solver, creative. Historically, with most women restricted to home management, men have demonstrated a knack for figuring out how things work and how to fix them, although such a capability may be within the grasp of each one of us. According to scientific evidence, in contrast to girls, boys tend to be more interested in things and objects than in people and social interaction. This helps explain why so many are fascinated with the technology and how things work, and why males have played such a key role in creating the machines, innovations, and miracles of everyday life that have revolutionized our world. Now, this is one of your bullet points in traits of masculinity, and I like how you mentioned, in contrast to girls, boys tend to be more interested in things and objects. And this is
that's right.
And this is where we bring the idea of science into social politics or sociology. And I've heard about this as where children as young as days old.
Yes.
They showed how little infant boys would focus their eyes and attention more on objects than people, and it was the opposite for girls.
Yes. And that shows in the careers we choose. Yeah. Maybe we're just naturally different this way, and we have people who are trying to tell us that girls should be exactly like boys and vice versa. I'm just not on that page at all.
Yeah.
I think people should just be the best they can be in whatever it is. If you're a good nurse, good.
Yes, absolutely, man. Here's another point, abstract thinker. Until recent women's liberation changes, our greatest thinkers have been men who have been able to explore and reshape the ideas and philosophies that have defined us as individuals and as a civilized society. Without their insights on the nature of knowledge, reality, and existence, it might have been impossible for humanity to progress to the point where it is now.
God, did I write that? Oh my God. Yes, I did write that.
Yeah,
I mean,
men are absolutely great abstract thinkers.
Yep.
The greatest poets and philosophers were men. Go back in time. There is no fucking heralded female poet philosopher. Doesn't exist.
No, you're right.
Right. So back then, what's the reason? Because back then, women were told by the patriarchy not to write poetry.
Yeah, I think that women probably could write whatever they wanted to, but they were just enjoying their life with the other women and their children. This is a big difference that I see in my personal life. I don't like being around children that much, John. That's just me. I realize that. I don't think I'm a great father in any way like that, although some fathers are great. But women, oh my God, they just can't get over. Oh, look at your little. It's just chit chat, chit chat, chit chat, all about the children, all about the children.
Absolutely. There's one last point I want to put out. It's the last bullet point of this book, and then quickly talk a little bit about the cheating one, and then we can call it a day.
I sure will.
No problem. This last bullet point, which will lead into that, lover and passionate. Men are quick to fall in love, sometimes with more than one individual at a time, and often feel compelled to lavish lots of attention, meals, luxuries, and other gifts on the object of their desire. Passionate, and many men find a deep passion for a hobby or concept and retain that passion for life. Some have risked life and limb to discover that is over the next hill, under the oceans, or beyond the stars. Some discover a sports passion, racing, football, skiing, roller derby. From the time when they are young to the end of their days, they are instinctively curious about the world around them. Even if they find what they are looking for, the quest never ends.
No, I think that men are much more complicated than what we get credit for. We can be totally in love with our hobby, with our spiritual, world, or maybe in love with God. Who knows? Mm-hmm. And we can be. But a woman wants you to put her on the pedestal and only think about her. This really bothers me.
Narcissism of women. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, why?
Well, it's like
they need that. Why do they need that?
It's like you said. Men are quick to fall in love. In other words, it's easy for them to find attention outside of the self.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
You can't experience love unless your attention is not focused on yourself.
That's right.
There has to be an outward expression of it. Love is an outward expression. Love of the self is narcissism. It's damaging. But men can do that quickly because their expression, there is an innate interest in the world around them, not just themselves.
Yes. No. And women are just looking for security.
Yes.
They're a little bit slower to, I think I'll fall in love with him. What she's saying is, I can live with him and he'll provide for me for the rest of my life.
Well, if your number one concern is your safety before anything else, then you're going to be narcissistic.
Yep.
Like, all you're concerned about is self-preservation. You're not going to go run into a burning building. If you only have an understanding of self-preservation, you're not going to do it. Which is why I understand that men can actually love outside of themselves.
Well, one time I used to watch some Oprah shows way back when Oprah was really popular. All women in her audience, and she was getting together with Stedman or whoever her lover is, and she said, "You know what? It just feels so much better to have a man in the house. I feel safe." And all the other women said, yeah, And I thought, wow, that's interesting, because I don't feel unsafe.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, yeah. But women evidently just always feel unsafe. Maybe they're afraid of men, too. I think they are.
Well, they're afraid. They're naturally afraid of the environment around them because they don't have the physical strength to really defend themselves from anything.
That's right. That's right.
They
actually need a man to walk down the street and hold your hand.
Yeah.
This bothers me. This is silly for me to talk about this, but you see couples walking and it's like she has got he's got to hold her hand endlessly. And they're like, okay, they've been married for 15 years. What's this? Are you that frightened to go look at this store item alone?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's cultural.
Is it? Yeah.
Well, it's partly cultural, definitely, but it's biological as well. Women are just naturally physically weaker than men.
That's right. They're afraid on the streets.
Look, if a man, but you know the part that nobody wants to talk about is that men are, by and large, statistically, more victims of physical violence.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, people don't believe that. In fact, I was.
That's an inequality problem right there.
Yeah, that's right. We got to change that.
It's hilarious.
This is why we push for wife beating. We got to bring up those equal.
We need more wife beating.
We need
some diversity in this.
We need more female suicides. Yes.
We need some cultural enrichment for the opposite gender.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's incredible because it's true. I mean, men are the victim of violence a lot more than women. Women, I understand, are weak physically, and so they naturally will have this sort of biological fear of physical damage. But the irony of that is that they aren't the victims of it as much as men are. And
no, you're right.
One of the reasons is this, because men truly and openly don't want to beat the shit out of a woman.
No,
especially a random woman.
That doesn't come. That only happens after you've been pushed into it with her verbal violence, and women hit men far more often.
Yes, because they get away with it.
They get away because they can't. They're not really.
Well, society
strong
gives
enough
them a pass.
Yeah, society allows women to hit men.
And again, it's a part reason because they are physically weaker. So if a woman comes up to you, clocks you in the face, full fist, even if you weren't ready for it, it's not going to hurt you as much as if a man did it, right? And you might be able to shake it off and defend yourself after that. Women know this. Society knows this.
No, you're right. Yep.
So
this is why they like to get in your face.
Yeah, because
point the finger right into your eye.
Yeah.
It's challenging you.
Most of
they're challenging you.
Yeah, most of what they call domestic violence. Which Lamprey and I have discussed before on the show, and domestic violence is just a Orwellian way to change the concept of just regular violence.
Yep.
Right? We don't need to add the domestic headline to violence. No. Violence is bad. We all know that. When they add domestic to it, it just gives women the favorite, and that's what's done in laws. And so, in domestic violence cases, using their term, the statistics are that when it comes to violence between spouses or between boyfriend and girlfriend or partners living together, when it comes to that, it's reciprocal. There's not.
Yes.
It's very little. Is it one violent partner and one victim? It's
That's
both.
That's right. And same-sex women violence is almost 3 or 4 times more than opposite sex or heterosexual partners. So who's the violent one? I don't know.
Well, women are incredibly violent. Absolutely, and incredibly and fearless about being violent because they know that.
Look how they treat each other.
Yeah, exactly. And despite the fact that they're the weaker sex, they know that because they're the weaker sex, that most men aren't gonna fucking just walk up to them and start beating on them.
No.
Without any kind of threat to their own.
No, it's always at the last minute in an argument or confrontation that finally the man will, reach out and protect himself. But it's not seen that way.
No, it is not.
One day we'll change all this. No, I don't think this will ever change. I take that back.
Well, we can hope.
People will always, we can hope. We can build a new world.
Well, we can just keep educating people, and then in the end, just see what happens. I mean, I know that you never married or had children, and I know a lot of MGTOW men out there now don't want to, and I don't blame them to marry or reproduce, but I did. I reproduced. This was before I was red pilled. In fact, if I had waited this long, I probably would never have reproduced. But I did. And all I can say is that now I'm in...
Do you have boys or girls?
Boy, I have a son. And
you have one boy?
Yeah.
Yay.
And now he's my responsibility to make him understand what's coming.
Yeah, I know.
In the world he lives in.
Well, that's one of the reasons I've spent time writing these books. I wanted the books to be out there, on the internet shelves, so that maybe a young man would pick up one of these books and learn a little bit.
That's absolutely right, man. That's incredible. And that's the meaning of paternity, patriarchy. If you give men something as powerful as a child that they can project their talents on besides themselves, you change the world.
Yep.
You absolutely change the world. And feminism has done everything to destroy the concept of paternity, family, and patriarchy.
I hate that.
Yeah, they've done everything. Because that's the number one enemy of the state, is a father with something to lose.
Yeah, I know.
And most men are willing to take their own life if the world around them is unfair enough that they don't want to deal with it anymore, and it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
You give a man something to live for, an extension beyond himself. You're an enemy to state power, and this is why they defy family, they defy patriarchy and paternity.
Yeah.
This is why feminism does it. You give a woman a child, she'll stick her tit in its mouth for a couple years, and then after that, she can have another.
Wow. Well, I do think the world was built by fathers who want to protect and provide for their families.
Absolutely. Every road, every street, every sewer.
Yep. Sacrificed.
Yeah.
They sacrificed for their families, and I just don't see that in the opposite sex.
No, it doesn't happen. And what you're doing by writing these books is you're passing on this valuable information to men. They're not your children, but they're men.
No, yeah, exactly.
And they're young, and they could be young men that can read.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So far, I've been. I'll tell you when we get into the Why I Cheat. That was my first book I wrote, and I just wrote it because there's things that I wanted to say.
Well, let's get into it.
Okay. Yeah, Why I Cheat. I'm telling you, women hate this book. Now, this is when I got hate mail, too. I've gotten so much hate mail for advocating this kind of book. I'm called a misogynist, just a hateful person. And one woman I spend time on Facebook because I don't have a YouTube account really, but one woman tried to start I don't know what you call it, mean that I was a pedophile.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. She wanted to turn me into a pedophile. Pass my photo around. Delete him. He's a pedophile. I blocked her. Thank God that didn't catch on. But I had a taste of how evil these women are. They just want the voice and the person to go away.
Yeah, they don't care about the damage they do to you. But okay, let me introduce it a little bit to the viewers. The book.
Go ahead.
MGTOW Why I Cheat. It's titled MGTOW Why I Cheat: 11 Stories of Freedom for Men. And I had a question because I've only kind of looked through the introduction and a part of the first chapter, but you mentioned 11 stories.
Yes.
Are these stories you collected from other men?
Yes, these are. Well, I have friends that are psychologists, and I would get an idea in my mind, and I would speak to them about couples counseling and issues between couples in this particular kind of idea. Like, for instance, gold diggers. I have a chapter in here that describes a gold digger. And so a lot of these are from real life stories, and I fictionalized them. I just turned them into characters, and I was having a lot of fun with making these characters be a certain way and act a certain way. And but the crisis, they'll all come to a crisis point, and somehow the guy and the female has to decide how they're going to kind of figure this out. And I think almost all MGTOW can relate to at least one chapter in here, one person's story. I'm just guessing. But I didn't even think this thing would sell. I got hate mail right away. And then finally, one MGTOW guy posted a review and said he loved it. And I thought, it's worth it to just get one positive review.
Well, you got 4.5 stars out of 8.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well.
That's great, man. I'm glad that it's catching on.
Well, most of my books do well, get pretty good reviews, and I'm happy about that. But I spend a lot of time on editing them and making them clean. Writing is a lot of perspiration.
Oh, yeah.
You have the inspiration to write a story about, the guy in chapter 1 is the guy who is just not made up for monogamy. And there's people like that out there. And he studied his sexual activity. Like he graphed the number of times he would go out and meet women. He graphed it against his biorhythms and against the moon.
Yeah, I saw that. He plotted his weekly biorhythms against the phases of the moon and his inner urges.
Right.
That's insane.
Right. Yes, and when all of these things peaked, he knew he was going to go out and fuck as many people as he could.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so he had to live with this secret, and he was trying to he fell in love with a woman and was trying to tell her, to explain it to her so that she would accept it as that this is some biological urge that you can't control. It's not love. This is sex, So that's what that story is all about.
And in the end, I mean, from a little bit of what I read is that the women that he spoke to about his urges fell in love with him anyway.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Or lusted after him anyway.
Yes. And he was not a very attractive dude. I mean, I made him kind of unusual looking.
So this is a guy that you sat down and spoke to?
Yes. Well, actually, it's my friends who are psychiatrists and psychologists. It's a patchwork of men that they have worked with who are what they call polyamorous. I think they've decided they really have a hard time being monogamous, especially when they're young.
Where did you find these men? They're like roller derby connections?
That's funny. No. I mean, these are just people from psychiatry. I have friends who are psychiatrists.
Okay.
And I would talk to them.
So just your social circles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's pretty incredible, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I wanted to go out of my house today and just grab 10 men off the street and get their opinions on the same thing, I don't know. I don't think I'd be as successful.
Mm.
I mean, I think it might have a lot to do with kind of your background and your environment.
Yeah. Well, and the time I took to work through these things, like a lot of these things kind of were in the back of my mind, like, is this really how human behavior works and how men have to struggle with the gold digger situation. I have another one that I like a lot where two men are close friends, really good friends, childhood friends, in fact, and the one friend falls in love, and his childhood friend says to him, she's going to use you, blah, 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 blah. It's that whole struggle you go through where a friend of yours is going to get married, and you just feel like saying, no, don't do it. I'll miss you. You'll never see me anymore because she'll hate me because I represent freedom, just all these things. I like that story. Well, actually, I like all the stories. The last story is a story probably closest to me, my personality. I shouldn't talk about it. Well, I've been sexually assaulted by women. And the last story, is about a woman who's, you know, bigger, older, sexy, blah blah blah, and she finds a really shy, skinny guy, and she has her way with him. She rapes him, basically.
Right.
That's how you would say it if you were a feminist.
Yeah. If you're a feminist, it'd be rape. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And how does the story go?
Oh God. Oh. I'm just remembering it. God. Yeah. She kills him. Oh my God. No, I shouldn't have told you that, but yeah, she is.
Show us on the doll where she touched you.
Yeah, she. Yeah.
She kills him.
Yeah, she ends up. This woman, I wanted to you know, what do they say? A woman scorned is hell hath no. I wanted
hell hath
to
no mercy, like a woman scorned.
Woman
no fury.
Scorned, right? Yes, I wanted to dramatize that woman because I feel like this is a real problem that women have this characteristic. They turn right around on a dime, and now they hate you. They take your kids, and they won't let you see their kids. You know, once they turn like that, this woman turned on him, and she ended up killing him.
Well, I found you on Facebook, right? And I have I'm subscribed to a lot of MGTOW pages on Facebook, and one of the pages I'm subscribed to is something like everyday crimes by women that's not reported in the media.
Oh yeah. I think I'm part of
probably
that group
part of that
too.
group, and in that, I swear to God, every day, half a dozen new stories pop up. Woman killing her spouse, killing her boyfriend, killing her child. I mean, it's relentless, the news.
Well, the statistics are really bad in this area. Women kill 5,000 little children every year. That's
they kill their own children.
They kill their own children, yeah. And they kill about
in the womb and out of the womb.
And out of the womb, yeah. So we have a big issue here with murder.
Yeah.
But nobody brings this up. They just want to talk about, now men kill their wives about 2 a day or 3 a day. So there's a stat on that. Women kill their husbands or ex-husbands about 1 a day.
Well, they just don't have the strength to do it as easily as
No, I know.
And I tell you that those guys that are killing their wives, they're probably fed up with her trying to stab them in the face, you know?
Yes, exactly. I know. And then, you know, in Australia right now, the feminists have a stronghold on the whole country right now, convincing the whole country that only men are violent.
Yes. Well, Canada is the same, man. I don't think Canada has the same social programs that they're spending that much tax dollars on. I think Australia is worse than Canada, but it's pretty much the same. There's only one narrative. Men are violent, men are horrible. And in fact...
No, you're right. And rapists.
Let me segue into an article that I have queued up.
Sure.
And because this is a perfect time to do it. We're talking about violent women. This is an article from the New York Post. I'm going to share this. I'm going to share it with the... Lamprey, are you still there?
Still here, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're awake.
Look, this article, I sent it to you, Lamprey. I'm sharing. It's on the share screen. By the New York Post. This is the headline: Kennedy charity to spend millions bailing out women and minors from New York City jails.
No, I know. I hate this.
A Kennedy family charity plans to spend millions of dollars to spring every bail-eligible city inmate that is 16, 17, or a woman in an epic move to promote jail reform, law enforcement sources told the Post on Tuesday. The initiative would free hundreds of defendants, many awaiting trial.
So what do you mean by reform? Reforming by letting people that committed a crime go on bail?
Yeah.
That's the reform?
Women. Only
women.
Yeah, it's only women. It's not the only men involved in this would be the very small amount of minors that are in prison right now. That's it. Everything else is like, we let women out, and exactly as Lamprey said, how is this reform? Just let criminals out of jail.
Yeah. Well, I would love to see some of the men be rehabbed and tooled into some good jobs, because we need workers that, are hard workers and all that. We need to give men an opportunity.
Absolutely.
But women, what are they going to do? They're going to get out and just continue
do the same shit, man.
I mean, they just aren't that valuable to society. That's embarrassing to say. And say Tim Patten. Yeah. Misogynist.
It's okay to be misogynist here, man. Don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
We're all misogynists here. Nobody cares. Now, the interesting thing about this, and as you said, Tim, is that you're letting these women out of jail for nothing. And who's paying for it? Who's paying for it? Are women paying for this? No, because tax dollars comes from men. That's what men pay tax. Women don't.
Yep.
But women spend more in a consumer society than men do.
Right.
Worldwide. Right. We mentioned this before. 80%. 80% consumer spending, women. But they make less than men. How does that happen? Men are paying for women to bail these women out of jail. That's the bottom line.
Hey, Lamprey, I like the way your voice sounds over the audio here.
Oh, I absolutely hate my fucking voice on the audio. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
I like it. And Ayam, you have a voice of an announcer. You sound like a pro.
Yes, he does. I've told him that many times.
He pulls the show through every week.
That's right.
Hey, listen, you guys, I really have to turn in.
All right, man.
I like meeting you guys. Thank you for inviting me here.
Hope you come back. The door is always open. You're more than welcome to join us.
Thank you. Well, I love writing these books, and I love the fact that some people have read them and they've actually said they've helped. These books have helped them. I like that. My books are a little bit on the self-help side.
Well, it's good, man, and I'm hoping that your presence here today is going to help maybe some of your book sales, support you a little bit.
That'd be nice.
It is, and again, I'm going to say to the listeners, please, the link is in the show description. Go to Tim's Amazon channel. Oh, I think I'm still screen sharing here. Hold on a second. Son of a bitch. Yeah, go to his Amazon channel. Check out his books. Purchase one if you find it interesting. Again, you're supporting MGTOW content.
Yeah. We'll keep this going.
Absolutely.
Keep educating young people. More and more young people are contacting me now. I have a couple of kids, young kids, I call them kids, college kids, who have contacted me through Facebook because they have been falsely claimed that they raped a woman.
Yeah. Well,
they're going through hell.
That's happening all the time.
I know. It's just hard for me to, go through and listen.
Oh, God. Thank God I'm not 18 years old all over again. I would not want to be that age.
Well, no, I know. I was really kind of dumb and, willing to experiment at that time, at that age.
Oh, crazy.
That's not but so nowadays it's not a good idea.
No. That's something I'm teaching my son. Is like, look, women are going to come on to you. They're going to excite you sexually. You need to be intelligent. You need to avoid it. Because regardless of how good it might feel in a moment, your life could be over.
Well, I think that this is a good subject that I haven't really heard taken on. I'm sure people have, but how do you control your sexual hormones, your sexual urges? I'm telling you, I'm just embarrassed to even say that. I jacked off at least 6 times a day when I was 17.
Hobbies.
Yeah, it's like a marathon.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you. I mean, it's just crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, I remember just days of just never leaving my room at 16 years old.
Yeah. I know it's embarrassing to remember these days, but
it's
I remember my first pornos. I used to download them all. It wasn't. It was a little bit after Napster. It was Morpheus. Did anybody remember Morpheus or BearShare? I used to sit there and wait for the pornos to download. Like, damn it! It's gonna take an hour to download this 5-minute clip.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be great once it downloads.
You come 3 times before it's downloaded. Well, thank you, you guys. I really appreciate it. I feel like I've met new people.
You have.
Good.
Yeah, you come back on. We can talk a little about San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco. Sorry.
And I
Talk
want
a little bit about.
and let's talk more about the roller derby too, man. That's great. I love that shit.
Oh, thank you for asking me about that, because it is one of my passions. You know, I have learned to have a professional life and never talk about roller derby. And, you know, I split these like. Huh?
It's a different life.
Yeah, it was a part. It was I want to say a hobby. It was a passion of yours, you know, like
a
man's passion.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's
all those years of staying in shape and being prepared for, you know, I don't even know why.
Big butch lesbian eating you. That's what prepared you for.
Holy
I just couldn't. I loved hanging out with the lesbians too.
Look, if I could go back in time, one of my destinations would be California, 1972 roller derby rink.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Well, that was when I got here in 1973, and I went right to the training center and signed up to train to be a professional roller derby star. I told that friend at work one time, and he said, "That is the funniest story I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And I said, "It's true." It's a little embarrassing.
It's incredible.
All right, guys. All right. Hey, good meeting you.
Yep. I'll keep in touch, man, and we'll do another show.
Yeah, keep in touch.
Cheers. Yeah, sure. I'm available.
All right. Take care.
Au revoir.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm going to turn.
All right.
Did he get it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he got it. So, our viewers, that's Tim Patten, author of several books that are MGTOW related. Please go check them out. As I said, the links are in the description. Lamprey and I will finish off the night. And I don't know, we already segued into the Kennedy charity. Let's finish that and we'll go into some more. What do you think?
Well, read it, because I actually didn't even bother reading it. I just screenshot it and sent it to you. Just more fucking insanity.
Yeah, absolute insanity. All right, so I'll read from the second paragraph. The initiative would free hundreds of defendants, many awaiting a trial for violent crimes, including attempted murder. Wow. Attempted murder, aggravated sex abuse, and assault from Rikers Island, the Tombs, and other city lockups, sources said. Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights could begin dispensing get out of jail free cards as early as Monday. This article was written or published on the 18th of September. Law enforcement sources slammed the scheme, arguing suspects will have no incentive to actually show up in court if they aren't on the hook for bail money. If a relative puts their house up for bail, the odds are pretty good that the arrested person will show up in court. The odds are not that good if some rich person puts up the money. You won't feel as obligated to show up. A high-ranking police source called the scheme disgraceful. If a high bail is set, that means the police and DA feel strongly that they committed the crime, that they will probably serve some kind of criminal sentence, and lastly, they would be a flight risk. A city government source confirmed several hundred people could be freed. All right, so up to that point, we have what should we call it, an NGO? What do we call this Kennedy charity?
It's a foundation.
A foundation.
It's a non-for-profit. Here we go. Non-for-profits is a higher tier above an NGO. Mm-hmm. You got your foundations, which is that's your Rockefeller Foundation, Ford Foundation. Absolutely. Okay. Then underneath the foundations are the non-for-profits, and underneath the non-for-profits are the NGOs.
Right.
Okay. That's the hierarchy on how the enslavement works. Okay. So who's funding this foundation? I'm sorry, this not-for-profit. Okay,
well,
so obviously, Yeah, go on.
The Kennedy charity. So who's funding it?
I didn't really look into it.
It says here, the RFK, it is a foundation. The RFK Foundation asked the city for a list of women and teens with unpaid bail, but the city has yet to provide the rundown, sources said. So this foundation is asking the city so that they can go ahead with this.
Right.
And it is a foundation.
So there you go. It's a foundation. Again, Kennedy's linked, unfortunately, it's bastardizing the name of Kennedy for the fucking socialist communist agenda, New World Order bullshit. People also have to understand about who the mayor is of New York City now. It's the Mayor de Blasio, which is not his real name. His real name is Van Housen, okay? He changed his name to de Blasio to get the Italian vote. Okay, so that was where he's married to a black woman. He has biracial children. He's doesn't like the police. He's
the
kind
band?
of somewhat
the band or the. He doesn't like Sting. He fucking hates Sting.
He hates Sting. He hates Stuart Copeland, and I think the other guy's Andy Summers.
Yeah, Andy Summers. That's right.
Andy Summers. Ah, look at me. I still got it. So, again, they're trying to make New York City San Francisco. Basically, that's kind of the feeling I get. And they're trying to make New York State like California, where, again, there's going to be homeless people. There's going to be syringes and, heroin clinics.
If they get New York, man, I think the rest of the country is in trouble. Because they've got California. Well, no, that's not true. They've got half of California.
Half of California.
They got half.
They got half of New York. They got half of New York.
Do they have half of New York? Oh, Christ.
Half of New York. Of all the 5 boroughs, there's still 1 borough that votes Republican, and it's the borough that's all Italian, which is quite comical. And Mayor de Blasio has yet to visit that borough. How about that? What a scumbag! What a fucking piece of shit he fucking is. He's living off the fumes of what Giuliani and Bloomberg built, and he knows it. He knows everything that's been built in front of him, government-wise, was not his, and so he wants to go ahead and fuck it up, and then try fixing it again. So it's like a child with a toy. He breaks the toy, and he's trying to put it back together. And if he half-ass builds it, putting it back together, he can look like somewhat of a hero.
Right. Well, look. Let me continue reading this, because this. Now that we're talking about it, this is interesting to me. It says the RFK Foundation has made bail reform a centerpiece for its advocacy. Again, this is a foundation, and according to this article, a centerpiece of this advocacy of this foundation is bail reform. Again, what the fuck is bail reform?
Lowering bails for black people, basically.
Yeah. Here it says the group sprung teenager Pedro Hernandez. I bet you that's a white guy. From Rikers last year. When he became the poster child for bail reform. All right, so here they're propping up a minority for their foundation, which centerpiece is quote-unquote bail reform. Whatever that means. Again, another fucking Orwellian fucking definition or word. While he was locked up more than a year awaiting trial on a gun charge. RFK then leveraged the widespread media and public attention, of course they did, to create a powerful advocacy moment for bail reform across New York. The group gushed in its 2017 annual report. Obviously, they're bragging about it. Last year, the foundation... Here, check this out. This is the money. Last year, the foundation raised $103 million. Oh, is that million? I think they're missing...
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be. They're missing a decimal place there, but it's got to be $103 million. $103,252,450 to bail 50 teenagers out of Big Apple jails ahead of the first day of school. The foundation has $5 million on hand, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's $103,000 because it's only 50 teenagers. I don't know how much is bail. The foundation has $5 million on hand to fund the latest bailout path. They're spending. Where do they get this fucking money, man?
Yeah, where does the money come from? Who is funding this shit? Now, if I went to the website to try to see who the heads of this foundation are, they're not like there's nothing really hidden. Like, there's kind of just no name people. So I was thinking it's going to be a Jew. That was my first thing. Oh, here we go. There's a Jew in charge of this shit. There's not. And you know, it was white. It was kind of a diverse group of people running this foundation. So again, who's giving them the money to go ahead and do this? Now, let's talk a little bit about de Blasio, and I want to talk a little bit about Rikers Island, because we can segue into two different we can pincer move this right now.
Okay.
Rikers Island, a couple years ago, there was a huge scandal on Rikers Island. For those who don't know what Rikers Island is, it's the prison. It's an island in Queens, in one of the boroughs. It's an island, and I think I'm repeating myself, where they put all the criminals. So you have to use boat, and like there's one road.
It's like the Rock.
One bridge.
It's like in San Francisco.
It's like the Rock. It's the New York
Alcatraz.
City's version of the Rock.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, 2 years ago, huge scandal. It happened while I was in Cambodia. The lesbian wardens were sexually abusing the men and the women in the prison.
God
okay, there was about 40 lesbian guards. It was a large number. It was like 24 or something of lesbian wardens that were sexually abusing women and men in jail.
Incredible.
Okay, because again, you have to make it diverse. You need to put lesbians as wardens to prisons. Of course, you got to do that, right? Because what could go wrong? Am I right, Ayam?
What could possibly go on? Well,
while this is going on, de Blasio wants to shut down Rikers Island and put all the inmates at Rikers Island and put them in people's homes where they can be domesticated and rehabilitated back into society.
That is insane, man.
I swear to God, yo, I'm not kidding you. So what the plan is a family in like Manhattan gets money from the government to have an inmate live in their house.
Holy shit. That's insane.
Oh, yeah. But you know, okay, do you know where he's getting this model from?
Mm-hmm.
Sweden.
Of course. Christ, that's why we don't hear too much intimately about Sweden.
Tyrone, who got out on bail because the foundation let him out. Okay, he winds up going to court. Okay, and the judge says, "Okay, you can go live with Timmy and Brittany in the Manhattan penthouse, where you could be rehabilitated for the next 2 years."
Jesus Christ, who's willing to take money for that?
To be honest with you, I don't know where that is. I think it's still in like its test tube stage, right. But I do know there were talks about it for quite some time. Where what they'll do is the idea is you let the inmates out of Rikers Island, and you put them in nice areas, and somehow they'll transform and be upright citizens.
Yeah, they'll just suddenly get a job and
right,
do everything
and be
perfect. Jesus Christ! Here. Let me finish the last little part. It says,
finish.
It's not clear how far that money will go. Again, I said the foundation has $5 million on hand. So when they say on hand, that's sort of like right now they can pull it out of the bank and fucking pay for someone's bail. It's not clear how far the money will go. One potential recipient currently cooling her heels in Rikers Island is being held on $999,999 bail for the drug overdose death of her 5-year-old son.
Oh,
so
let her out.
Let this foundation pay $1 million to let this woman out of prison.
Who killed a 5-year-old?
Her own 5-year-old. Not a stranger. Her own fucking kid. With drug overdose. Like, it's amazing. I have a kid. I think to myself, geez, how could I accidentally kill my kid?
I know. Stick a syringe in them.
Like, what the
By
fuck?
accident.
By accident, somehow he overdosed on drugs. Like, how the fuck does that happen? A 5-year-old? What did you do? You passed out after your gangbang and he fucking drank your bottle of fucking rum that was sitting on the table? I mean, it's insane. Absolutely insane.
A bigot. Stop being a bigot.
I am a bigot. I'm a huge bigot. Now, here's the final sentence from the article. The RFK Foundation did not respond to requests for comment.
Of course not.
Why would you?
They're just going to do it. You know what? You know what that means is we're just going to do it. We don't care. We don't have to give a response.
No, they don't. But this is the question that I ask the viewers that are still with us right now. Please go search Google, search the internet, find out how this RFK Foundation is making money. Where's their fucking money coming from? You know, they're letting women who accidentally overdose their 5-year-old children with drugs. Please go online and find out where they make their goddamn money so that this woman can get out of jail for $1 million. You know?
You gotta love it. And for those, and also with Rikers Island, it's not like a federal prison. It's not one of these prisons where it's, you know, like not an asylum, but it's not what you think it is. It's not one of those serious locked up places where, you know, it's white walls and padded rooms. Rikers Island is a fucking free for all debaucherous nightmare, because what I've learned from my friends who are in the police, who work for the NYPD, I go, "Oh, Rikers Island, that's not that bad of a place. People just are there for like 3 to 5 years." He goes, "No, those are the most dangerous, because when you're only there for 3 to 5 years, you're trying to make a name for yourself being in that prison for a short span. When you're locked up in solitary in, like, you know, in like far upstate New York forest, you know, Adirondack Catskill region, those guys are in it for life. So they can't really be violent, because when they're in prison for that long, they have to make amends on what it is that's in front of them. Like, yep, I'm serving life. I can't be violent. This is it. So me lashing out, it's just going to make things worse for me. When you're doing 2 to 5 years at Rikers Island, you have to lash out, because when you get out of Rikers Island, you're back in the streets again. You have to be, you know, in gangs and stuff like that. So word spreads when you're in Rikers on what it is you did in Rikers. Right. You understand?
Yeah,
that's the different mentality is versus, you know, when you're locked up in solitary upstate versus when you're locked up in Rikers Island in, you know, this, you know, county jail, so to speak, the biggest prison in New York City.
It's I used to think it, as a kid, I used to think it was a prison for super villains.
That's the one upstate. That's Sing Sing, that's not Alcatraz, Sing Sing, Attica. Those are the ones you're thinking of. Okay. When you're talking about a prison for just 3 to 5 years, people are, you know, throwing feces at you and stabbing with needles and knives. That's the 3 to 5 year prison.
Damn. Well, and not only that, but I think we touched on this in the last episode, but I want to bring it up again because we talked about, you know, going into the whole concept of the correctional facility in the Western world is insane. Everything that it breeds and how we apparently deal with those problems. But the point is that if you commit a crime, like, let's say, going back to that mother who killed her 5-year-old child with an overdose of drugs, right? You're perfectly sane. You go to jail. You deserve to be there. You fucking deserve to be there. The environment that exists within that system, it's not a problem. That's part of what you committed to when you committed that crime. So I don't really feel, I don't feel the modern day left-wing liberal sentimentality about Jose, who's in prison for selling drugs to children. You know, I don't care. You're there for a reason, cunt. If you don't like it, too bad. But this one.
Well, it's patriarchy that puts them there.
Of course.
And white men.
And white men, of course. All white men can burn and die and get raped in jail. And speaking of rape,
according to Justin Trudeau.
Absolutely. And according to this article that I did mention the other night, and I think we talked about it, I just want to mention it now, about the transgender person accused of rape is remanded into female prison and sexually assaults inmates within days. This is the epitome of the left eating itself. You have this neo-Marxist, feminist, liberal concept of anyone in jail shouldn't be there because the idea of incarceration is so white and right. It needs to be removed. Let's have a foundation to pull all these people out of prison, put them back on the streets with real legal abiding citizens, because that's the right thing to do. So this falls apart in their face as this man who pretends to be a woman gets put in a woman jail. And what does he do?
He starts raping women, of course. What else would you? You blame him?
He's like, I'm in a prison of females, and I got a dick still. Sure, I put on lipstick and I wear a wig, but I still got a dick. Let's see what I can do here. Jesus Christ, man.
Well, it's weird, going back during the Obama administration, there wasn't so much this transgender bullshit. And I caught it early with Obama. He really was pushing so hard to put trannies in the military. That's where it really all started. So first he got what he wanted with, gay marriage. And soon after, real quick, shortly after it, the transgender movement came right in. There was no break. There was no long 10-year pause like most of these type of social engineering concepts we talk about. Right? It moved. It was rapid. It was a rapid movement. So I saw it early. And then once he got the trainees in the military, the thing that was the most important, most imperative thing for these trainees in the military was a sex reassignment surgery on taxpayer with taxpayer money.
Christ, eh? It's another reason to just get put behind bars. One day we should probably do a show on the whole system of incarceration in the Western world, because it is...
Are you talking to Barbarossa about that?
Yeah, about the drug wars, definitely. We'll have that on. Oh, and why don't I take a moment to say to the listeners here, let's just see, we got Slaughterhouse is there. Man, jump back. Mekong Farong. Hey, Mekong, how's your feud with the Brooklyn Monk going?
Yeah, the Brooklyn Monk. You gotta keep trolling him, man.
Yeah, keep trolling him.
He blows my email up every day. Keep trolling him. I love it. Who the fuck is Mekong Farong? Just keep going, man.
Keep doing it.
It's great.
But I wanted to mention that next weekend, and Lamprey, I mentioned this, but we haven't put it all together yet. But John the Other's going to be back on.
Oh, it's next week, yeah?
Yeah, next weekend. I already got him. Oh. He's good. He actually sent me a message yesterday, and thought that he was on this weekend. I'm like, no, man, it's next weekend. Be all right. So we'll have John the Other on next weekend, and in the works, and I can't guarantee it'll happen yet because it's still a month away. It might change, but we're going to get Bernard Chapin of Chapin's Inferno on.
Wow.
You know who he is?
No, not a clue.
No? Okay. I'll send you links later. You can check it out. We will have Bernard Chapin on. It should be good. And again, this is a request from one of our sponsors. So we'll have him on, but it's for a Halloween show, so I figure it'll be the weekend before Halloween.
We got to get Paul Elam on.
Oh, I'd love to. We can try. I can try to get Elam on. It'd be interesting.
There's some great other MGTOW channels out there. There's a lot of great black MGTOW channels I'd love to speak to. Yeah. Some awesome guys. They really are.
There's
better than Howard Dare. Howard Dare here. Fucking tool bag.
Try to get Howard Dare on.
Howard Dare.
Well, there's a
picture a guy with like cheese doodle dust on his fucking beer belly. That's what I picture. Some guys you really shouldn't be listening to as far as MGTOW. Like if you're an obese 50-year-old guy whose wife cleaned him out, that is just, and who's like a truck driver on disability preaching MGTOW, that is not a MGTOW guy you should be listening to.
Well, that's the thing, man. It's a lot of.
I'm sorry.
With MGTOW, a lot of it happens spontaneously. You know, like it's like my MGTOW experience came from divorce and then trying to pretend that I could date again. You know, and then and trying to keep in contact with my child. And at that point, it was like, I'm done. You know, there's a certain curve you go over, and then it's over. And
yeah, I think you know, I'm with my I went fishing yesterday, and oh, this is great. I got a good MGTOW story to tell with this. But I went fishing, and my buddy who I go fishing with makes 6 figures, built his own house, built his own boat, engineer. Wow. Really intelligent guy, you know, just awesome guy. Went to Antarctica for 2 weeks, you know, like really like a cool guy to, you know, speak to and listen to. And, you know, on the way home after fishing, we're just, you know, shooting shit.
Let's get him on the show.
He's telling me, he goes, I would, yeah, he would be down to come on. But he's 40. He tells me, he goes, who the fuck am I gonna, you know, hook up with now? I'm 40 fucking years old. It's over for me, man. Every woman that's my age is completely shot. Just shot.
Yes.
You know, they either divorced, single moms, divorced, and if they're divorced, they're all fucked up from the divorce. You're not gonna find something decent. So he's kind of realized that his, you know, I guess at his stage in life that it's over for him. He ain't ever getting married.
No,
despite how much he has, you know, he says it's not even about that. And we were talking again, you know, he goes, you know, I told him, like, you know, your women, the women of your generation, what is it, Generation X? You're Gen X, right?
I don't know. No, I have no idea. Maybe.
I think you're X.
I was born in '74. I mean, what generation is that?
Yeah, you're a couple of years older than him. He was just saying that, you know, women his age were a little bit more subtle about their hypergamy versus my generation, the millennials and younger, where it's just overt, like
Tinder.
Just pay for my shit, asshole.
Tinder,
right?
I mean, every single fucking picture you send me on Tinder is a woman holding a dog or a drink and going, "Send me money, I'll be your sugar baby." End of story. There's no bio. Don't get to know me. Just give me money. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Give me something and shut up.
Hello, comrade. John Johnson here. Former citizen of the USSR. Communism for you Americans. Are you tired of the leftist media and TV programs? Need a laugh? Check out Slaughterhouse Cartoons. They are shamelessly making fun of everything. Women, men, any and all things. We at Slaughterhouse Cartoons also believe in the democratic process. So if you are a verified subscriber on YouTube, you have one vote per person, up or down, in comments, per cartoon. To keep it or dump it. We are also on Minds, BitChute, Twitter, Gab AI, Steemit, and all under the same name. If you like crude, rude, and everything else, check out Slaughterhouse Cartoons. You will not be disappointed. Goodbye.